Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Shadowlands. So, you're probably going, wait a minute, didn't you say we were going to be going to Tazabesh next? So, there's apparently a bad bug with the first part of that dungeon where you literally cannot get into it. So, you queue in. And then there's supposed to be dialogue between the guy you're with and the trash guarding the door to trigger them becoming trash. Otherwise, they're just stuck in their neutral state. And the dialogue would not happen. It was just stuck. So we literally could not get in to the dungeon. So I put off, hoping that was going to be fixed. I even put a post in the bug report section of the forums and such, hoping it would get addressed. I haven't tested it yet to see, but let's just say that I had to put it off. And then I got a little busy this weekend because the Batman came out, so I was a little busy. So I decided to go ahead and just wait till reset. Hopefully that would be hot fixed or patched in by the next reset. I haven't tested yet. Hopefully that's the case. But at the same time, some other stuff has happened. So I also should mention that even though I was busy, fortunately someone did take my shift on one of the days for the raid. So I was able to participate in the raid. And we took down 5 bosses on that first night. Yay! While I was at work, my guild took down 2 more bosses. And when I got home, they were fighting Anduin, learning the fight. Our raid leader thinks he's one of the tougher boss fights that they've added into this game since Tomb of Sargeras. Not sure how accurate that is or what exactly he's basing that on. I didn't ask for clarification, but that's his opinion. And so let's just say we may have to wait a bit. Though I heard he got nerfed. I heard that Anduin was considered pretty tough, so apparently he's already gotten nerfed. The nerf bat, as we say. So, we'll see how we do this week, but more importantly, the next part of the story continues, which, based on the dialogue in this, it looks like it acknowledges the idea of, hey, you went into the raid and you defeated Anduin, right? Right? Now, I should also point out that the first wing of Sepulchre in LFR is up. This actually has 4 bosses: Guardian, Zymox, Skolex, and Halandrus. This one will be available later. So, in case you're wondering, the bosses that we took down on the night that I was there was Guardian, Skolex. People keep talking, going to voice to pronounce this. Some said Sausage. Some said Daus Senya, I think it is. We took that one down. We took down Pantheon, and we took down Lyuvim, where I got a tier set piece. And then they took down Zymox and Halandrus, and like I said, then they took on Anduin. Didn't take him down. But in case you're curious, because now I'm up to 251, and this is a great week to also do some dungeons because we get a 265 piece. So that'll help out, not just your main, but also going forward your alts. But it's this right here. This handpiece. This is for Death Knights. Now, of course, as you can expect, this changes based on what spec you're playing. So it's not bad. It's got nice mastery. And for Unholy DK, it's every 5 Scourge Strikes that burst Festering Wounds applies Soul Reaper on your target and summons an Army of the Dead Ghoul for 15 seconds. The next bonus is your minions will deal 10% increased damage. When Soul Reaper's secondary effect triggers, that bonus increases to 50% for 8 seconds. And I think that works pretty well. By the way, this is Soul Reaper, by the way. Strikes an enemy for 1154 shadow damage and afflicts the enemy with Soul Reaper. After 5 seconds, if the target is below 35% health, they explode, dealing an additional 5,400 shadow damage to the target. If the enemy that yields experience or honor dies, gain runic corruption. Now, I also still have my back legendary here, which increases my ghoul and minions damage by 12%, as well as increases attack speed. And that applies to me as well. So, by the way, apparently this quest is also going to lead to us being able to unlock the next rank of legendaries, which can go up to 291. Our guild is already talking about that and discussing it, where our raid leader said, hey, any plate wearers I can offer to make 291s for you. Bring me the mats and I can go ahead and make them for you, no charge. If you need the mats, I'll only charge the minimum price for the auction house on our server, which is Zul'jin, just as a reminder, so take that for what you will. But I went ahead and already grabbed some of the stuff to craft these things, not that, things like the Progenium ores. I have a couple of these other legendaries here. This is the one for my my Covenant, and this is for the one that's supposed to be best for single target, Deadliest Coil. But as I have pointed out, also, where's the other? Right here. This is also going to be something that is going to be part of the crafting for the higher ranks of legendaries in order to make something else. Now, my Death Knight here is a blacksmith, but I haven't spent that much time actually leveling up the ranks of being able to make the pieces that I need. So this is something that was in the previous patch, so this is not the new thing. If you look at under Unlearned, you'll see this is the new thing that we're going to be getting here. Vestige of the Eternal to increase the rank even more so. This is, if you see under Learned, being able to, say, go down here to the Shadow Gas stuff. This is the stuff to make the actual vacant pieces that we need in order to make our legendaries. But you can see I haven't spent that much time actually crafting these in order to increase the rank. So I may have like the base level stuff, but I don't have them ranked up. But fortunately, our raid leader is there to help out with that. But these, are, of course, are some of the other things that we can be able to get here in order to be able to increase those. So I'm guessing this is the quest that's going to help us unlock being able to increase the higher level legendary, so I may as well go ahead and do it now, even though it kind of takes place in a different point in time. Like, I would have to have you pretend that we have gone through the raid and actually beaten Anduin, and then you watch the cutscene to kind of understand. Now, I don't know if they're actually going to play the cutscene here in this quest or not. I'm tempted to show it to you myself, but if not, I'll just kind of tell you and just wait until we actually do the raid in LFR so I can show it to you. And then we can discuss it.
I will aid you as best I can.
The Broken Crown. I should also mention, before we read this, I did get a couple of more quests here having to do with the raid. So the skip is we have to defeat Anduin 4 times in order to get the skip, because we're collecting fragments from the sword, the Mournblade. But here's the main raid quest here that we pick up from Bolvar, which is defeat, soon after we stepped forth into the realms of death, a message left behind by the Primus gave warning that the jailer must not be allowed to reach the sepulchre. Despite all our efforts, he has done so. Within the heart of that ancient place lie secrets the jailer could use to dominate the entire cosmos. If he succeeds, everything we hold dear will be lost. Gather your allies, claim victory for the Shadowlands, and for Azeroth. Also, that reminds me, hold on, just let me double check. Yeah, so this is the guy. So this is the guy that we're also going to be able to unlock getting recipes to be able to get some of those other craftable legendaries and stuff like that. But as you can see, you need to get a higher rank. I am currently at just friendly right now, almost halfway to honored. So, but once you get honored, you'll be able to actually purchase these. So, just got to do a bit of rep grinding. But our friends have returned from the sepulchre of the first ones with a familiar face, Anduin. What terrible things he has endured. But as difficult and painful as it is, we must uncover what he knows. The jailer has blocked our way within the sepulchre, and we risk falling victim to domination ourselves if we blindly follow. He is our best hope.
The balance must be restored. Anduin, can you tell us anything about the domination that the jailer put in our way?
No. I don't know how to counteract it. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Rest. We will find a way.
We will claim victory. Together.
Okay, so it looks like this is going to show the cutscene of what happened in the raid. We'll talk about it afterwards. So this will help explain, why is Anduin here? How did it happen? Well, so we go through the raid, and obviously part of the story is also what happens during the fight. So during the fight, one of the mechanics is we fight a shade of, I believe it's called the Fallen King, and it's the Lich King, as in the one we fought on top of Icecrown. Yeah. Obviously, the implication here has been that what remains of Arthas was tied into the Mournblade that was made by the jailer to turn Anduin into his Death Knight. So, because of that, keep that in mind as we watch this. There's a shadow upon my mind, like a cold hand whose fingers curl ever so softly around your heart. Tell me what happened, as if I wasn't there.
We will.
Not understand. This one is bound to me. Fulfill your final purpose. Annihilation. The fate of all who carry my blade. My son, this blade does not belong to darkness. It was forged by valor. And also by honor. Its legacy and ours are with you, even here. Finished.
Arthas.
Is this all that remains of him?
The last flicker of his scarred spirit, consumed in the forges of the jailer.
No crown, no throne, not even a soul left for judgment. I hated you, hunted you, and with each selfish act became you. That is my burden to bear. But your legacy is at an end. Be gone then, Arthas Menethil. May the last whisper of your name fade and be forgotten.
Okay. So let's talk. I am so conflicted on this. On one hand, I feel very unsatisfied with that. on the other hand, it's not really that bad. It's actually... Alright. Obviously, I'm not going to just summarize my feelings on this. First off, I love seeing both Varian and Varrock back. That was awesome. That was like, yeah! Varian and Varrock, woo! I was so happy to see them back. Now, if you're wondering how did that happen, I actually like the way that Taliesin discussed it. He made a whole video discussing this cutscene. And I don't always agree with him, and I'm not necessarily a big fan of his, but there are times where I do like what he does, and times where I find it very entertaining, and he provides a good laugh. And even if I don't always agree with him, he also provides things that I think are interesting to talk about and discuss. So, I like how he discussed this cutscene, and it actually kind of helped make sense to me anyway, in terms of those who would be like, why all of a sudden does this happen? Why didn't they show it before? I like the idea that all took place within Anduin's mind, that wasn't necessarily them actually showing up, but that was kind of something within him represented by those two. And if you're wondering why those two, well, think about it. When you see him split the blade, the only two to ever split that blade, which, Charlemagne, and that history that it has, were Varian, and then, of course, Varrock, when he fought Sylvanas. And now, Anduin, is only the third to have ever split Charlemagne like that. And, yeah, it was just kind of really awesome to see that. And plus, it's just nice fan service, honestly, to see Varian and Varrock. And I'm not opposed to fan service like other people are. At times, I think some fan service is nice, especially if it's done well and done in a way that isn't necessarily pandering, but actually feels as if it's a nice gesture, or in a way. So I really like the way that was handled with Varian and Varrock. I really like that part of the cutscene. The next part is the part that is where I get the conflicted feelings of. This is Arthas, And we don't actually get to see him. He's just a blue ball, like a wisp. But at the same time, the way Taliesin described it, it's like, it's not really him. It's more so just kind of like finding, as Uther was saying, the last remnant of what he was. It's not even necessarily him. It's basically all that is left of him after the jailer was done with him. As horrible as that probably sounds, that may even be accurate if we're to kind of start thinking of, well, what could the jailer have been doing to him all this time? Well, we probably don't want to get too much into that, but it's a nice kind of offhanded, subtle implication that hardly any of what we knew as Arthas is actually left. And that's basically it. And and like I said, a part of me wishes like maybe I could have actually seen him there, like, not necessarily hear him talk, but just like see, an image of him. Just kind of like it manifests into just kind of like an image of him, just so he wouldn't necessarily have to talk, but more so just kind of be there to listen as he starts to fade away. I'm okay with him kind of fading away and just kind of like being at peace and at rest. It just kind of would have been a little more, I don't know, I guess a bit more fan service-y, even though I just mentioned the fan service part with Varrock and Varian, to have him there just kind of listen to them, because when you see the people who are there, Jaina, Sylvanas, Uther, all people who have very deep personal connections to Arthas and have a very long history with Arthas and their legacy. And my initial reaction was I wanted that cutscene to be like 5 minutes longer, where it wasn't just Sylvanas talking and basically trying to get her final word into Arthas before he goes away forever, but for goodness sakes, I wanted Jaina to talk. I wanted Uther to talk. Uther had some things left over, but especially Jaina. I mean, for goodness sakes. We know that Jaina still loves him. That is, that she still has never stopped loving Arthas. And I've said before, I read the Arthas book. I know how close those two were, how much those two loved each other. And Jaina, all these years later, still loves Arthas, and I'm not surprised in the slightest. Like I said, I read the book, and it really helped showcase how much those two cared for each other. And it was, I felt that while going through that story. That was really nice and sweet. And I just always felt so bad for them with what happened to Arthas, and how it just kind of obviously didn't work out. And the fact that Jaina has nothing to say in that cutscene just bothers me. But at the same time, as Taliesin pointed out, she already got to say stuff about Arthas before. And so did Uther. That's kind of what the last couple of expansions have kind of shown. Jaina had her time to come to terms with it and forgive herself in that cutscene when we did the Alliance quest content that led to her, when we were with her mother going to save Jaina, where we saw just how much of a burden and guilt that she had placed on herself. And her mother having to tell her that you need to forgive yourself for what happened to Arthas. And other things that she obviously put on herself, but yeah, that was one of the main points there. And as for Uther, well, we have seen Uther have to deal with and come to terms with that during this expansion. During the Kyrian stuff. That was showcased there. How Uther had to deal with that. So, while I would have liked for more to be done in that cutscene, I understand that the stuff that probably needed to be said for those characters has already been said. So there really isn't much of a reason to do so now. So that part I do get and understand. As for Sylvanas, I mean, I like that she's having to acknowledge that the things that she did, hating him and going after him, that she started to become even more so and worse than he was. And that she's going to have to live with that burden for the rest of her life. So I like that she kind of accepted that and came to terms with that, since she, in that previous cutscene I showed in the previous part, where she was conflicted about that, and Uther, basically told her that he had to accept what she had done and live with those consequences. And that's basically one of the ways that she is showing that she's acknowledging that that's what's going to have to be done. I don't know if I'm ever going to entirely love that cutscene, because there's a part of me that wishes it could have been done better, just to appeal to those of us like myself who do love Arthas and, stick up for and defend the guy, realizing that he didn't turn evil, that it wasn't all his fault, that there was other things that basically forced him into a position where he basically had no choice, the outside manipulation that caused Arthas to go down that path. And people think he was a whiny, stuck-up prince and such, and that's not what I picked up when I read that book. That wasn't how I saw it, but anyways. Obviously, we all have different views, perceptions, perspectives, interpretations on these things. I've said it a number of occasions, how I feel and view Arthas. I feel like I don't have to go too much in detail on that, but good cutscene, obviously, but whew, boy. On one hand, I really don't like it because I wish it had been done a little better on the Arthas side of things. The first part was great, with Varrock and Varian. I loved that part. That was awesome. Getting to hear Varrock once again say, "No, let it be finished," just like he did before he fought Sylvanas. That was awesome. But, oh man. That's not how I necessarily wanted to see Arthas go out. But then again, as Taliesin also pointed out, we did get a final farewell scene with Arthas at the end of Wrath, when we beat him on top of Icecrown. So, in the end, what's most important is I wanted us to be able to free Arthas from the darkness of the Jailer in the Shadowlands by the end of this expansion. And I guess I got what I wanted. Arthas is finally at peace, I guess. No longer under the hold of the jailer. He is finally free. So it may be a very unsatisfying way to end that character that a lot of people come to care about and love. But I guess at the end of the day, it's more so how the characters have to deal with it, not necessarily the players and the fans. I guess that's part of the reason for that. So anyways,
We stand together against the darkness.
the suffering he endured. This will be difficult to overcome. Zoval has blocked our pursuit. If we are to defeat him, we must find a way to withstand domination. But to overcome it, we need to understand how it works. The Primus of Maldraxxus created domination. He will be able to tell us more. I asked Talia to bring a piece of the Helm of Domination to Zereth Mortis. I dread to think of what might happen were I to try to carry it again. Let us discuss the way forward. Now, it looks like this is going to address something that I have been wanting them to do ever since I saw the cinematic that started Shadowlands. That helm. When I first saw that cinematic when they announced Shadowlands, I was not happy that that was how they handled that helm. Because that's such an iconic piece of this setting that to do it like that, I just thought was very unfair and unfitting. And I was like, well, I hope by the end of this helm gets repaired or redone. But it looks like that's not exactly what's going to happen. But we'll see.
Zoval needed to dominate the Automa to enter the Sepulchre. Yet they did not succumb immediately. If we use the Helm of Domination, we may be able to discover the source of their resistance.
Should we use it? After all the devastation it's caused.
If we can find a way to resist domination, it is worth the risk. We will face whatever comes.
I don't like this as an option any more than Talia does. But we need to wield domination safely if we are to find a way to overcome it. Our first step is to ensure that the helm still works on us.
Fight for Azeroth.
I created domination as a tool to punish Zoval. My anger informed that creation, and now we pay the price for my hubris. Even eternal ones err on occasion. But we are not without hope. Take the half of the broken helm of domination, and test it upon one of your own. If it retains enough power, it can then be used to test it elsewhere in Zereth Mortis. Test it on Darien.
I volunteer. I can bear this pain again, for the good of the many.
Oh, poor Darien.
Helm, champion. You have the best chance of using it without giving in yourself.
I mean, considering I'm a Death Knight, Talia, I'm not really sure about that, but whatever. I, a Death Knight, now bear the helm of domination. Oh, poor Darien. His history with this helm. Kneel before me, Darien.
The power is just too much. Well struck.
So, the helm retains its power. While fortunate for us, it remains disturbing.
Speak, mortal.
Even those who overcame domination are not entirely immune to it now. But there may be something buried in that history that can aid us. I will think on this. For now, focus your efforts on the creatures of Zereth Mortis. See what makes them more resistant.
If we fail, all will be undone.
Well, tell me more about domination.
The domination is akin to communication. A language, if you will. One so powerful that it interferes with a creature's very understanding of itself. This is why it is almost impossible to resist. If we can disrupt that interference long enough, we may find a way to thwart it.
The creatures of Zereth Mortis have existed here since well before I created domination. We have seen the effects that Zoval's forces have had on them, but I believe there is more to be learned. Excuse me. Use the helm on the denizens of Zereth Mortis and see what you can uncover about a natural resistance.
You must not falter.
We all have a duty to fulfill.
Since we have earned the trust of the Enlightened, I have learned more about their explorations into Zereth Mortis. They know more than they are willing to tell, but often do not act on that knowledge. Perhaps where they observe, we can be a catalyst for action. In a secluded corner called the Lexical Glade, there is an elder named Iru. She may be able to give us insight on how we might use the language of the First Ones. Seek her out and see if she will help us.
The chains of the past still bind us.
I'm tempted to quote some of the Lich King's lines. I delight in the irony. You will serve death. Gosh, it's been so long since I've listened to that video that does a compilation of all the Lich King's lines. I'm actually kind of forgetting some of them. Oh. Let's see if I can go this way. Just a little sample of that.
It is a particularly beautiful day.
The more advanced creatures resist domination for longer. Well, of course, I could have told you that. It's all about the language. What is this? You wish to know if there is anything here that can help you resist Mossworn magic? You're a Nux stranger. I happen to know that this place is a library, and libraries are wonderful places to find what you are looking for. This area is a repository of various texts. What did they say? I have no idea. I have dedicated myself to their catalog and organization. This is more important than ever with invaders destroying the balance in Zereth Mortis. We must preserve what we have found so far. You can help. Go into the glade and memorize the phrases there. Then meet me down in the grotto. There is something in it that might help you test that helm of yours further.
Sometimes the language will change right in front of you. I think this adaptation may be what you seek. Meet me in the grotto when you're done. We can test this theory there. Blessings to you.
This place is wondrous. I could spend all of my existence here. The language of the first ones is not static like most others. It evolves. Creatures like the Sentries are more advanced than your average Poltrid, obviously. Their more complex thought processes give them an innate resistance to the invaders' overriding magic. But you should not take my word for it. We can actually test this. In the grotto there is a librarian. Take those phrases you memorized and infuse them into it. Then try out your helm.
Have infused the librarian with the phrases you have obtained. Then try your helm on it. The results should be fascinating. advanced the language, the more resistant the creature.
You see, it took far longer for domination to overtake the librarian's native purposing. Of course it did fail in the end, but I would call that a success for your particular interest. Do not worry, another Atoma will take that one's place. There must always be a librarian. Okay, that was funny. There must always be a librarian. Wait. Did that answer your question? Oh, you wanted a way to completely resist domination magic? Oh, that I'm afraid I do not know. The first one's language will only delay the inevitable. What I can tell you is that if you want to find more deliciously complex phrases of the first one's language, you should go to the Endless Sands and search the vaults. I wish I could go myself, but it's been overrun by those nasty Mossworn. Good luck with the rest of your studies.
Until we meet once more.
I can always come back and do this later.
The hour of battle is upon us.
This elder has given us an important answer to this puzzle, but now we must act on the information, though doing so will be difficult. First, we must infuse the helm with those indecipherable phrases from the first ones that are in the Endless Sands, but that would not be enough on its own. We will need more. Let me prepare while you acquire what we need. I will send word for you after.
Do not forsake your duty.
The Primus's theory about the language of the first ones has borne out. Still, it may not be enough. While the Primus finalizes his plans, let us go deep into the Endless Sands to find pieces of this power to infuse the helm. Darian, Talia, and I will meet you there to help with the Mossworn.
Take the helm to the Endless Sands and infuse it with the language of the first ones.
Talia and I will join you. Be prepared, champion. That region is entrenched with powerful Mossworn.
Lucky doos, you like?
We'll just take a shortcut that way. In fact, I think we'll go ahead and cut it off here and continue when we get there. Stay tuned.